let's just imagine that I've taken my book covers out of the book press. They're ready, they're dry, and now I've cut my my sheets of paper to size. You'll notice I've got this piece hanging out right here. The reason for that is I could go ahead and cut these down, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to assemble the book first, because with Japanese stab stitch, just the nature of the assembly will twist it and turn it around. So I don't really want to cut it because I might not have it right. And if I bind it first and then trim it down, then my pages will be perfect. So I'm going to do it like this, and I can at least get the top and bottom, but I don't have to do that. I'm also going to test my hinge. It opens all the way. Okay?
How much extra should we have on the paper before we cut it down?
Doesn't matter. Enough, not so much that you can't work with it, you know?
Like a half inch?
Yeah, just whatever. Like it was, this size was based on the pieces of paper that I was tearing, and when I folded them down, I cut it this width on the paper cutter, and then I just didn't bother to cut this part.
Are they individual sheets, or do you have them folded?
No, that's a good question. They are not folded. These are individual sheets.
Okay.
So that's the difference. You can do this with folded signatures. So like you could fold them like this, but the beauty of Japanese stab stitch is that you can take a stack of individual papers and make a book. So all those drawings from kindergarten that are in the box somewhere
So what you're
in the
saying is I
attic.
just need to collect all my kids' art, and then at the end of the year, Christmas bind them and give it to the parents for presents.
They would love that.
Mm,
They would
I'm so
love you.
excited.
Oh my God. Yes.
I'm
Okay.
so excited.
So we're introducing two new tools for this binding. I'm going to use my bulldog clips, and I'm going to make sure everything's lined up. And I'm going to use my bulldog clips to hold my text block and my book covers in place. You can also use a C-clamp. Now would be a good time to use a C-clamp on the table if you have one of those. You could get me a phone book. It's in there on the wire shelving right here next to the sink. And we're going to drill our holes into the book. We're going to drill them through the book cover and the paper and everything. It's all going to come all at one time. I'm going to use my smallest drill bit. I don't want to use my biggest because, again, this is a lot like when I was talking about stitching the first time. You don't want to, you want to start with the smallest hole possible. You can always use a bigger drill if your needle won't go through it, but I'm going to start with the smallest because to start with too big of a hole means that it'll be floppy. So your handheld drill or book drill works. If you've ever used a regular like household drill to hang pictures, it's the same thing. It's just got this little mechanism for screwing in your drill bits. Okay, it's going to work like that. I'm going to put it on I've clamped my book situation. I'm going to lay it on. I could like build it up so that it's perfectly level here, but I'm just going to hold it with my hands because I can. And I'm in a hurry. That works. And I'm going to put it on the phone book because I need to. I need something to drill into that's not the table. The book drill seems innocent, but it's not. It's a powerful tool, and it will go straight through this table because it's a drill, and that's what it's designed to do. Now, on my spine here is where I'm going to put the holes for my stitching. You can put it in the middle. I think I'm actually going to move over closer here to the hinge part because I really want to see my stitching. I want to see my pattern that I develop here on the side. I'm going to do a very basic pattern, the most basic pattern for Japanese stab stitch, but there are all kinds of variations, and you can get the pattern out of the book, your textbook, and you can do these tortoise shell patterns. They're really beautiful. So it's all in how you map out the holes that you put on here and then the direction in which you're sewing. So, but we're going to start with the most basic. And I think I'm going to move it over just a little closer to the spine because I really want to see my pattern. I could eyeball it, but for craftsmanship's sake, I've come in about a 1/2 inch from the top, and I'm going to come in about a 1/2 inch from the bottom, and I'm gonna do 3 holes. So I'm going to put my drill on top of the hole. And I'm not bearing down with my hand. Once the drill starts, it's pretty steady. You will know when you reach through the back side of it because the book will start to spin around as you turn the drill. And that means it's gotten almost all the way through it. You can see it tearing up the bookbinding board. And then you can just double check. You know, I can just run my finger under there and feel when the drill is coming through and making contact with the phone book.
So is it better to cut these books with, or not cut these books, cover the books with paper?
Or cloth. There's no.
It'll cut through cloth just fine.
It sure will. Yep. Sounds like a bird, doesn't it? Chirp, chirp. Okay.
There you go.
There. And so I went into my phone book, and that keeps me from going into the table, and it also keeps my drill bit nice and sharp because I'm not going through some hard piece of wood. So now I'm going to back it out. I'm not pulling. I'm going in the opposite direction. And I have a little hole that's all the way through.
Perfect.
Mm-hmm. There you go. So now I'm going to do this for the other 2. And then one thing that I really like to do, can't find my sandpaper, is I'll take my sandpaper, and do you see how it pulls up the board and makes like a little volcano right there? I don't like that. I want that to go away. So I'll take my sandpaper and just kind of see if I can rub it off a little bit. I don't want to tear my paper so much, but I can just make that go away with some sandpaper. So just a fine grit sandpaper and a delicate hand will do it. Okay? So I will do that for my other 2 holes. And then my next step will be to bind them. But I'm going to go back and put my end sheets in there and put them in the book press for a little bit. And then I'll show you the binding, the actual stitching pattern. Questions?
I have a question.
Yes.
How does your phone have that much space on it that it can hold this video?
That is a good question. Yeah.
And I have no idea, and I will definitely be uploading them to YouTube instead of just doing them to GroupMe.
Yeah.
And I'll just send you like the private link to look at it.
Because this is a long video.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I had to stop the first one at 20 minutes, and this is already at 10, so.
Mm-hmm.
So you wanted us to get this done, and so you can stitch together, so we can all stitch together.
Is this what we're working on?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
All right.
I will
Yes.
I
I'll
will
do both.
let y'all get up to that point, and then we'll do it together. We'll do the stitching part together. Probably next week, next Tuesday or something, or Thursday. I'm going to see if I can't print off the description of your midterm. It is in Digication for the proposal that you'll write. Right now, you're going to make a decision about, as a group, about whether you want to do a group theme or you all just want to do it individually.
individually.
Okay. And then,
I don't want to join these people. They scare me.
well, if you, those of you that want to respond to the Halby Roads, then that theme already exists. But we will,
What does the theme mean? Boundary?
Drawing boundaries.
yeah,
However way
Interpret how you want.
it's open-ended.
Okay.
They all are. It's,
It's cool, but it's annoying.
Yes.
so like, but look at this wonderful work of art. It fits nothing with the
I
theme. But
So,
I thought it meant like actually like going on a map and like drawing out the boundaries.
I imagine some folks will do
Mexico
that.
is here.
But your midterm book, really, before you all could generate a proposal, you just needed to have some options in the way of what you wanted to choose for binding. So at this point, based on what you've covered in class, you will choose any variation of the accordion book to do, or this Japanese stab stitch. You can work in a series if you wanted to make more than one book and a series of small books. But the point of the midterm and the final book is that we're exploring form and content. And so the proposal assignment asks you a series of questions, and you answer them, and it walks you through developing form and content. I brought these books in because I wanted you to see all the options for these different bindings and see what other artists had responded. These two particularly are just books by artists. So you can identify which ones are using Japanese stab stitch and which ones are using accordion and get some ideas. Okay? And I promise you, the art education majors, if you're doing this with high schoolers, someone will stick this drill on the top of someone else's head and see if it'll drill through.
oh god.
Does that happen?
Ainsley was telling us about the oil pastel, how they turned oil pastels deadly. And so,
What did they do with the oil pastel?
tell him, Ainsley. Like makeup.
Oh my Dude, you turn around for 2 seconds.
Have you seen him since?
No, because we were last Friday. I'm gonna do that tomorrow.
But that stuff doesn't.
Because he had to take it off with acetone or some kind of...
I'm sure his mom doesn't know that.
Man, that's crazy. When I was a kid, like, I took, like, red lipstick and colored my whole face in.
Yeah.
But, like, not
an oil-based,
pastels,
right.
Like,
So much. It was like there was like chunks of oil pastel in his eyebrows.
oh my
They're
god.
7th graders.
I'm sure he's gonna get a lot of acne.
Oh yeah, break his face out, clog those pores.
All right, so I have 3 holes, and now I'm going to do, when y'all go back to work, I'm going to do the inside covers, and I'm going to put these in the book press for a little while. Okay? Get a brownie. Have a good time.